Would you like to learn how would I spend $5,000 today to turn it into $500,000? I find coins before they're famous, before they're spoken about. I am like the ultimate talent scout in cryptocurrency. So if you want the best alpha on what the best coins are out there, then make sure that you follow me, the Superman, or subscribe to me on Twitch, because this is where I do my live streams. This was Ranuna's $1,500 shitty dollar portfolio, right? Which there's probably about 3 I'd invest in, right? I've got my own investments. This is what I would invest 5,000 in. So I'm going to go through it in order, and I'm going to explain why. So if I had $5,000, this is how I would split it. So I would go 1,000 for sure in Near Protocol. Why? Because Near Protocol, to me, stands out as an infrastructure that has got mainstream adoption written all over it. It's kind of groomed by the great and the good in cryptocurrency. It's got scalability, masses of scalability. Like enough to basically pee all over Solana, right? And it's popular, it's got developers, and they're looking to really build a huge ecosystem, right? And they are already on track. Like 23,000 users, 23 million unique users on Near Protocol. For a newish project, that is astronomical growth. And they have done most of that growth this year. So last year, when they hit their all-time high of, $20 or whatever, they did that. Yeah, they did that with not much in the way of fundamental strength, right? So these guys are, to me, pre-pump. Like, their fundamentals haven't pumped. They only pumped through being, an IDO that launched late last year. And did reasonably well, right? But to me, it's pre-pump. Like, it's not been around long enough to and not really explored its fundamental strength, its scalability, its community size into its. But it's not factored that into the price. And they've grown 1,000% in just this year. So I think next time round, these guys will have built the early stages of their ecosystem. And that will instrumentally give value to Near Protocol. They've got a great team behind them, an expansive team. It's huge, Near Protocol. I met somebody who works for Near Protocol in the Baltic regions, and she's just one of many elite people, right? She is like an elite person in the world of blockchain. And the fact that she's working as a sub part of Near Protocol just shows you the quality they have got in their team and how big this is likely to be in the future. So Near Protocol I foresee as one of those cryptocurrencies that are likely to actually really compete with the big blockchains, likely to be the next Solana, have that real big pump next time round. And the fact that they've got like 83% of their supply unlocked means that this should not be highly inflationary. Like going into the next period, the next bull market, this should fly really, and hopefully go into the 3-figure club. Do really well like Solana did. This will be like Solana but without the downtime, more reliability but fantastic scalability. So they've grown at a massive rate. They're 10x bigger than Aptos, and they're only going to grow more, in my personal opinion, and potentially be one of the power players. Now, this is relatively high in market cap at 1 billion, but what I will say is that this started off at quite a high market cap as it was. This cryptocurrency kind of had, 29 cents was the lowest price for the IDO, and 40 cents was kind of the higher price. So that means that this has not done what Matic has done. So I brought Matic to you at, it was a quarter of a cent or a third of a cent when I brought it to you. It since went to $3, so at 1000x. So it has already traveled a long way from its beginning point. The beginning point for this is only about 5x away. So anybody who's gotten into this has not exploited its true maturity yet. it's not really, it's not really boomed for the people who got into it early. And all of the seed investors, which are very, very high quality. So we've got Andreessen Horowitz, Pantera, which are two premier tier investors. Fundamental Labs is very good. On the negative side, Alameda and Three Arrows Capital. But don't look at this as, oh, that's bad for NEAR. It's not bad for NEAR. Before all this shit went down, and if there had never been a bear market, and if FTX had never been exposed, and they carried on going for another 10 years, then people would have always said that the FTX and Alameda have very, very good taste. They're very exclusive. They only get involved in very good cryptocurrencies, and same for Three Arrows Capital. Three Arrows, Alameda, and FTX actually very good in venture capitalists. It's just that they were over leveraged. They were over-leveraged, unable to pay for their liabilities, and subsequently went down. But they still had great taste, right? So Three Arrows Capital and Alameda Research and FTX, I think, is a good reflection on NEAR. Circle, obviously, they've got big inroads with all sorts of entities. FTX, Hashed. So they have got amongst the best investors that are hodlers, early believers in NEAR, and NEAR really are only going to start getting going from here, as an infrastructure. So my thoughts is that this is one of those cryptocurrencies that will probably go into the hundreds of billions rather than tens of billions. So I see that NEAR Protocol has really, really fantastic price multiplier potential. And I'm not even looking to get in at this point. I'm looking for this to go under $1 billion. But if I'm honest with you, I would say fair value cryptocurrency, this is a cryptocurrency that should be over $1 billion. Should be in the multiple hundreds of billions. So NEAR Protocol, I've spoken about it ad nauseum, and I do think that this has got an incredible future, very high potential, good money flow, that in a bull market, this will fly. I reckon. Fly. And the more this goes down, the higher it will fly. So it's a little bit like when you push an inflatable ball down into the sea. The more you push it down, 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 when you let it go, goes like that. So that's what's happening with NEAR. It's being pushed right down, like aggressively down, compared to its counterparts because of its involvement with FTX and Alameda, and the fact that they're still unsold NEAR Protocol, and will probably get sold off over time. But I think this will just open up a fantastic chance to get into it early. And unlike Solana, although this has FTX and Alameda invested in it, they certainly aren't the lead investors, and certainly not the biggest investors, but they wanted a slice of this pie because it looks like a very tasty one. So this has not got Solana written all over it. It's not like Solana in the sense that it's not like Solana in the sense that it's so closely entwined with FTX. It's not really used as an infrastructure for FTX's apps like Solana was. So I would say they just have a slice of it, and that slice is going to get eroded, which will take this down to a better price. So NEAR, an optimal buy price of about 75 cents, 65 to 75 cents, I think will be an incredible investment for the future. And that's what I would invest 1,000 in. Invest 1,000 when it's 65 cents, 65 to 75 cents, in that range, I would say. In at second place is Mina Protocol. They're not looking to be, oh, look at me with my 100,000 TPS. They are looking to be a decentralized solution. They're looking to be so small, and they are the world's smallest blockchain. They're looking to be so small and remote and compact that people can just be a full node on the Mina blockchain, thus increasing decentralization. The more nodes, the more randomness of nodes, the more decentralized the network it becomes. Therefore, the most secure and the least likely to be pulled down when regulation comes in, or people can attack other cryptocurrencies for being a security. This is looking to become decentralized, like Cardano, essentially. Like, it's got decentralization as part of its short-term roadmap. So by being so small, they open out to being a difference in how blockchains are made and how they operate. Right? So they've got a ton of network nodes. They've got decent scalability, which I think over time is going to increase anyway. With the more nodes, the more decentralized it is, the more power goes into the actual network and therefore better transaction throughput. So I think that's all coming for the future. So Mina aren't looking to be high transaction throughput. They're looking to be decentralized. And in this cryptocurrency blockchain world, there's so many that have high transaction throughput, but are very centralized. Even Ethereum is very centralized. So these guys are looking to be a real solution to that and be very different in the way it operates. It doesn't want to be a huge, supercomputer. It wants to be an Apple MacBook Air. It wants to be a small version of the big infrastructures we've had in the past, so that it makes it much easier to use the network, build on the network, and grow as a network. So I think that Mina adds something really different to the market, and it's not like your average blockchain. So if you want a blockchain that's super fast and will perform well, highly VC backed, you've got Near. If you want a blockchain that's completely different to anything else out there, smaller, works differently, has a different roadmap, looking to be actually decentralized, and looking to be a real difference in how blockchains are made and how they work, then you've got Mina. But on the plus side with Mina, you've also got fantastic VCs. You've got Coinbase, you've got Jump, Multicoin, you've got NGC, Pantera, Paradigm, Polychain, 3 Arrows. You did have FTX. FTX are not in here, but they did have FTX. Again, FTX is not, kind of like the be-all and end-all. They didn't own Mina so that they can use Mina like they have with Solana. They just loved the look of Mina, bought into the tech, bought into the vision. And FTX, although it's a bad name now, it wasn't a bad name about 6 months ago, and it certainly wasn't a bad name a year ago. And having FTX's belief in you was a very hard thing to achieve. Like Alameda had made a lot of investments, but FTX made so few. And this was one of the ones they saw promise in, and that to me says something. So Mina has been about $10 at its best. I think Mina's going to come down to about 20 cents, maybe even 10 cents. Probably 10 cents would be a bit difficult, but 20 cents I think is likely. With the momentum of the market at this present time, and with the fact that they had FTX as part of their investors, then this could go down, very hard as well. But I think for the future, I think that these guys, you're kind of investing in them whilst there's not much big belief in them, not strong belief. And I think this is going to be a power blockchain, or has the potential to be a power blockchain in the future and just be something completely different and maybe reimagine the world of blockchain for the future. Because no other blockchain is ambitious like this. Like basically it's the blockchain is the size of a tweet. When you become a node, you don't have to download a full ledger, you download a snapshot. And you can operate this from mobile as well as a computer terminal. So I just think that Mina is so different to anything else, and it's not got the best of metrics like TPS and all of that, but I think that allows you to invest in something that's not the finished article, that's nowhere near the finished article, and has a lot of room to the upside. Now, Mina, admittedly, 418 million market cap, it doesn't boast necessarily the best of multipliers from here, but if this goes down to 20 cents, that basically takes it to around about just under 200 million market cap, which to me makes it a fantastic investment, because I could very well see that if they pull this off, if they pull off being this different blockchain to everything else, then this one can truly succeed. Like Mina is looking to be kind of like Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin is not very fast, but it is very secure and it is very decentralized, and you can't touch it now. You can do nothing about the technology. You can't bring it down. You can't call it a security. You can't do anything to it. And Mina is looking to be the minuscule version, like the small, remote, modern, millennial appealing blockchain that's decentralized and is just easy to operate as a full node, to be a node, to be rewarded as a node. Yeah, I think Mina actually could be like really, really good in the future. And according to Buddy Holidays, who's not in the chat, I don't think today, they are recruiting blockchain developers from top projects. So it seems as they're very serious. They're very serious about the future. All right, and that is what I find very, very refreshing about Mina. So Mina you got to look into, but honestly, if you look at it, like their whole vision is different from any other blockchain that's out there. And that's why I'm investing in it, because it's like, you know, if you're investing in too many things like Nia, then you're too diluted. Like, you want to have uniqueness within each cryptocurrency in your portfolio. In at number 3, we have got Immutable X. Now, I think that Immutable X has much further to go down, particularly because they've really increased their circulating supply lately. I'd like to see this under 100 million ideally. So I'd like to see it's about 15 cents. And that to me would represent an incredible opportunity for multipliers, because at all-time high, this was again $9.50. So at 15 cents to get to all-time high again, 63x just to get to all-time high. Now, Optimism, the reason Immutable X, the reason why I like Immutable X is because this is basically this is like a Matic play to me. This is like another opportunity to get into a low cap Matic. Hopefully you can get into it at a much lower price. Ideally, getting into it at the IDO price, which was about 15 cents. And I think that there is that potential for investors during this shitty market, when everything goes down, that they'll still be selling their Immutable X into a profit. So Immutable X, I think, can go down a lot more, and I think that when it returns, because Immutable X is probably the best play for infrastructure, layer 2, Ethereum, and NFTs. Like, it satisfies quite a few checklists. It's within quite a few brands, if you think about it. So quite a few reasons for this to do well. Now, Gods Unchained uses this, Illuviums uses this, and these are two very, very popular play-to-earn games in cryptocurrency. They use Immutable X to make it easier, faster, cheaper for the end user. From reports from what I've heard from Jerry Banfield, because he used to play Gods Unchained before, he's now quit playing Gods Unchained. But, he used Immutable X every single stream. He did say the fees were high, but he did say it was very fast. And he did say that, and I think that what he was meaning to say is that if this was a bull market where gas fees are really, really expensive and minting fees are really, really expensive, then actually Immutable X's fees, because you pay a transaction, rather than a gas fee, you pay like a transaction fee or a network fee. And that is what, and that would be cheaper than gas fees ultimately. And I think there's probably a move to make it completely feeless over time. I think this is only like to generate revenue at this point in the bull market, keep themselves afloat. But I think in the future, this will be completely free, and this will be the potential go-to player for NFT mints, NFT projects, metaverse projects, and have a general use case as well. So Polygon, so any games looking for scalability on Ethereum will utilize Polygon at this point, but I think Immutable X will start to eat into that market share. Immutable X is already, leaps and bounds ahead of Immutable X. Immutable X has the multiplier potential, I think, of the future, and it's also got potential big business, big business relationships in the future too. Like what we've got right now with Matic, Disney, Meta, tons of dApps, is that you've already kind of got the finished article. Yeah, it's got a long way to go, but you've kind of already got the finished article. Whereas Immutable X, this is nowhere near the finished article. It's only new. It's relatively new. It came out only last year. And it still has a way to go. And even in this market, it's still fetching some pretty decent volume. So Immutable X, I think, is a highly promising. I was tossing up between two projects for this kind of for this play. So you've got ApeCoin. ApeCoin is going to be kind of one of the main metaverse cryptocurrencies. Like, it's going to be used in the Bored Ape metaverse, but it's also going to be used in multiple other metaverses as well. So ApeCoin is a very good NFT and currency play, particularly because Gucci already, Gucci have already said they're going to accept ApeCoin as a method of payment or as a form of currency. So there was ApeCoin, and ApeCoin is very promising, but ApeCoin is already too high in market cap. It's 4 billion market cap at this point. So I think the multiplier potential is better with Immutable X, and Immutable X is an infrastructure, as ApeCoin is not. ApeCoin is a potential currency for the metaverse and a currency for all metaverses that exist in crypto. But Immutable X is an infrastructure that could spin off and could be an NFT scaling solution for other blockchains as well as Ethereum. But Ethereum is where it kind of counts. So yeah, Immutable X, I think, has had a very poor run. It did well last year because it came out into a bull run, but it didn't really exploit a bull run. You didn't get into it like I got into Matic. I got into Matic in a bear market and saw it all the way through the bear market recovery into a bull market, new all-time highs, and then a bull market when everything tops. Even though it didn't top at the top, but when everything topped, that was what Matic had. So it had that full trajectory. It had 1000x in that trajectory. Immutable X, kind of came out last half of the bull rally. It did well, but it had not much use at that point. It didn't have the Gods Unchained. It didn't have Immutable X. It didn't have Illuvium and other. I'm not completely up to date on all the games that use Immutable X, but those are the two main ones, and they're two big ones that use Immutable X. So last time was speculation. Next time, I think, will be adoption. Next time, I think, will be actual use case. When the NFT ecosystem gets up and running, this should fly, because there's not much in the way of NFT infrastructures that exist. This is one of the only ones, actually. So this should have monopoly when the NFT ecosystem has the next bull run. When the NFTs have a next bull run, this should do very well. But I expect a long way more for this to go down. So I would put $1,000 into this at I'd put $1,000 into this at 15 cents. 10 to 15 cents. And Immutable X also have got really good VCs as well. They've got Coinbase. Nirvana's a pretty good name. I haven't come across them a lot, but apparently they're very selective. They have Alameda as well. And they've got Animoca Brands. Now, Animoca Brands are huge when it comes to NFTs. Like Animoca, they basically do metaverses, play to earn. That's what they invest in. So they got massive inroads via Animoca Brands. They've got Arrington XRP as well. So they've got 1, 2, 3, 4 very good VC, like tier premier tier, borderline tier 1. But but for NFTs, Animoca is actually a premier tier. Is actually a premier. I would say for NFTs and metaverse, Animoca Brands is the equivalent of Coinbase, right, in that world. So so I think that you'll probably be able to just restart with Immutable X. So the IDO was 10 to 15 cents. I think you'll probably be able to just restart it. Immutable X will restart as an infrastructure, and hopefully anyway, because I really see this doing well when NFTs have their boom period next time, when we've got what happened in the last bull market happening almost 10x better. Because next time round, you'll have more NFTs. You'll have greater depth in NFTs. And then the importance of scalability, cheapness, best user experience will be even more important then. So Immutable X, see it through its dilution, invest towards the bottom. You'll probably be able to get this at a fantastic price and be able to get incredible multipliers out of it. Next one is Optimism. Very similar to Immutable X. Optimism is Matic 2.0, in my opinion. What I like about Optimism is it's essentially the brand for optimistic rollups. So optimistic rollups is a layer 2 scaling solution for Ethereum. It's also usage on other blockchains, but for Optimism, they're focused on Ethereum smart contracts. And optimistic rollups is a very scalable technology. It's very cheap for the end user. It's cheaper than Matic, it's faster than Matic, and it's less inflationary than Matic. So Matic is like 33% inflation, costs still a lot of money to mint, to do a lot of activities that you have in DeFi and NFTs and stable coins, etc. DEXs. And optimism is, in my opinion anyway, and optimistic rollups is a better solution for Ethereum. And certainly definitely more compatible for Ethereum smart contracts than Matic is. It's got increased security than Matic has. So optimism, by rights, should be or should have the same trajectory Matic had. And it's also got the same ability to kind of be a spin-off and have their own ecosystem. You know, people that build for optimism, rather than people that build for Ethereum via optimism, build for optimism itself. So this has great potential as well. Now, another thing I like is that optimistic rollups is a type of technology. Optimism essentially own that brand because they are called after the rollup solution itself. So Arbitrum is also optimistic rollups, but they're called Arbitrum, not Optimism. So Optimism is really, if anybody is looking for what is the key proponent of optimistic rollups, well, it's Optimism. So great inflation, based on what I've heard about inflation, which is it's 2% inflation, not what other people say, which I can't find any evidence of. It's great inflation. The actual scalability solution is much more compatible to Ethereum, offers better security to Ethereum. Even Vitalik said that in an interview. And it's very early stage. It's pre-pump. It's not even been out in a bull market. So it's a 2022 coin. It's pre-pump. Not really had, you know, it's not really been able to exploit any kind of bull market. So we've never even seen, you know, the limits this can go to. And that is a good thing, because the unknown means that coming into the next bull market, there's no limit to where it can go, because there's never been a previous barrier set that it achieved in a bull market. Now, if we have a look, the money flow is exceptional. The stability that this has had in the past 3 months has been exceptional. At first, I think a lot of people were selling Optimism because it was badged as having 30% inflation, and it was airdropped initially. So a lot of people just had free money, which they sold off, and that is what caused the bottom that it had, which was 42 cents early on. But I think this can still come down, and it still will come down, maybe to about 35 cents. 30 to 35 cents I think would be magnificent. 30 to 35 cents would basically take this to about 50 million market cap. It'd basically be a micro cap. And although it's not Matic in the sense that I brought you Matic when it was like 5 million, not even that, probably like 3 million. I brought you Matic when it was 3 million. Okay, it's never going to be like that, but I think in the next bull market, you know, Ethereum will have more demand, particularly because it's deflationary. It'll have more demand, hence the use of services like Optimism. It's an infrastructure. It's got great inflation. This should appreciate really well in the next bull market. And as I said, this is pre-pump. So this should really do well next market, in my opinion. And so I would invest 1,000 into this at 30 cents. I think this cryptocurrency could easily go to $30. Okay, so let's go to the number one. I put 1,000 into Moonbeam. Now, Moonbeam is a multi-chain blockchain. One of Polkadot's beacon, shining star, mascot, layer 1. So what you've got with Moonbeam is not only have you got an incredible brand, but you have got the ability to you've got, as an app developer, you have got the ability to open yourself up to multiple streams of revenue, because you can release on all sorts of blockchains. You can release on Polkadot, and the only way into Polkadot is via Moonbeam, unless you build your own parachain, which takes fucking forever, a lot of commitment. You have to go through the crowd loan thing. If you only want the technology, you want the scalability, and you want your access to Polkadot users, you use Moonbeam. So it's got access to Ethereum, access to Moonbeam, and access to other blockchains in the future via Layer 0. So you'll be able to deploy your app, multiple chain, have multiple streams of revenue, and it's a fantastic solution for the developer. As an end user, if you like a particular app that was built by a near developer, but you use Polkadot apps or you use Ethereum apps, and you're mainly an Ethereum user, then that app can be ported over to that particular ecosystem via Moonbeam. So Moonbeam is a multi-chain future. That's what I love about Moonbeam. It's built out of Polkadot, so it's got sophisticated layer 1 technology. It's got governance, it's got decentralization, but it retains its own identity because that's how it works on Polkadot. That's the fantastic thing about building on Polkadot. So Moonbeam, as I said, multi-chain future, the route into Polkadot. Polkadot is arguably one of the best techs out there, and if you really want your app to benefit from the substrate you build via Moonbeam and deploy via Moonbeam. So to me, it's like, if you're an app developer, you've developed Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog only came out on one console, and that was Sega, right? I mean, it did come out on Nintendo Switch and all that later, but forget about that. And the first Sonic came out on Sega. Brilliant for Sega. But for the app developer, or the game developer, you got one stream of income. What about PlayStation? What about Nintendo? What about Xbox? PC? All of those things. Handhelds. What about the revenue from them? So, if you're a Sonic the Hedgehog app and you use Near, then you make your app available to Near users, people who use Near dApps or play on Near dApps. But what about all the other ecosystems, right? So it's almost like Moonbeam would have given Sonic the Hedgehog the chance to be on every single platform, and therefore open up the app developer to multi-streams of income, and the end user gets tons and tons of ways to be able to play the game. So although there are many Ethereum game players, and many Tron game players, many Near, many Solana, with Moonbeam you get all of them. You get all of them. Instead of one single blockchain, you get all of them. So when Web3 comes along and you're building your dApps, you can have your dApps existing on all these blockchains. You can receive assets. So let's say it's a DEX. It's a DEX that you build for a multi-chain DEX. You can get assets from Ethereum, Near, Solana, Avalanche, etc., etc., etc. All of those assets can be received by a multi-chain dApp, and that's all. And that's on Moonbeam. So the fantastic thing about that's the fantastic thing about Moonbeam. It's very promising. It's pre-pump. It came out in 2022. It's never had a bull market. Again, the potential for it is unlimited. Like, it could just keep going, keep going, keep going. All right, if we've got a mega bull market to come, let's say we go a 5-year bull market, then Moonbeam could just keep on going up. It can go from the 10 cents that I think it's going to go to multiple dollars, to double-figure dollars, to triple-figure dollars. Right? It can just keep going up because it's satisfying that multi-chain future, which, if I'm honest with you, most cryptocurrencies, and even the ones that I've talked about in this list, are mainly siloed blockchains. Admittedly, they're very good for the end user, but how can you have dApps on tons of blockchains? Moonbeam. So Moonbeam's got really fantastic fundamentals. As far as the investors are concerned, I mean, literally the creme de la creme. You've got Arrington, you've got Binance, you've got Bitcoin.com, you've got CoinGecko, you've got Fenbushi, and you've also got Coinbase, even though they're not listed on here. So you have got, like, the best of VCs. So all these VCs, including Binance, saw the potential in it. They think that this is fantastic technology. So, anyway, so Moonbeam, those are the fantastic things about it. It's popular. It's come down enough from its all-time high of $19.50 that lets you see it's got huge multipliers just to get to its all-time high. Like, from 10 cents, if you can get into it at $1,000 at 10 cents, and it goes up to its old all-time high of $19.50, which I think it should exceed over time, then that's $195,000 from $1,000. Like, it doesn't get better than that, really. I've talked about Moonbeam ad nauseum. I'm sure you're all aware of the fundamentals of it. But the only downside to me, and I think it's the downside that has plagued Moonbeam, is that people got into it in the transition period from bear to bull market. So this came out, bull to bear market. So this came out in January or thereabouts, which was just after the bull market. So a lot of people were still feeling relatively bullish, and it did really well at first. But then as time eroded the bullishness from people, the coin just eroded in price. And then there were vesting periods that unlocked. It's got a relatively high-ish inflation. Like 8% isn't that high, really. You know, Solana was 8% in its first year, and that did really well. Like, the only reason why a coin like Moonbeam wouldn't do well is because, you know, inflation matters when there's no volume, no real money flow in the market. No one's bullish, no one's greedy. So it erodes. But when the bullishness comes back, there's so much money flow, this should appreciate. And by the time bullishness comes back, this should be back down to its 5% inflation rate. So all the vesting unlocks will have been done. They'd have gotten all the shit out of the way. They'd have minimized the amount of flushing, because people will flush out their profits during the period they receive their vesting unlocks. And then you should be able to just get this in pure prime position for this to make multipliers in the future. So there we are. Moonbeam. What a beauty. And the name. It's the best name of all 5. I mean, in my opinion, anyway. So there we are, people. Now, if you have a cheeky $300, so you've spent your $5,000, or there's a cryptocurrency that you like, but you don't want to put the full grand into, then the high-risk play, to me anyway, is Dogechain. So Dogechain, the reason I like it is because it's a meme coin with utility. So it's layer 2 for Dogecoin. So Dogecoin is essentially a meme coin that has no real utility at all. It was produced as a joke. But what Dogechain provides is the ability for Dogecoin to have an ecosystem, with Dogecoin being the gas token of the Dogechain ecosystem. So they've created a technology, and it's almost better than Dogecoin if you think about it. Dogecoin is just a shit coin. It's just a currency. It's a microcurrency. The only reason it has any value is because of that joke, that meme value of it, which is what attracted Elon Musk, which is why Elon Musk is likely to use Dogecoin for Twitter. But if he uses Dogecoin for Twitter, then Dogechain will be a secondary beneficiary of that transaction, of that event. So I don't know at what point Dogecoin is going to be announced for Twitter. Hopefully at some point in the future, when Dogechain can lose 10x of its value and you can get it for 0.0001 rather than 0.001. And then you'll be able to make fat multipliers if this does well. Now, the person that created Dogechain is the person that created QuickSwap. QuickSwap is arguably the premier Matic DEX, right? So this is a person that has already got experience creating a cryptocurrency, being a highly valued cryptocurrency, dealing with exchanges, worrying about tokenomics, having a governance structure with a DEX, as it was decentralized. So he's bringing that experience to Dogechain. In addition to that, there's Luna Digital Assets. Now, Luna Digital Assets are the incubators and marketers behind Dogechain. So in the past, they've worked with QuickSwap, with Polygon, and a few other names you'll probably know, like, for instance, Chromia, Persistence, very good, My Neighbor Alice. And yeah, a lot of good projects that have garnered a lot of value over the time. And of course, Dogechain is their newest one. So for a meme coin that's very low in market cap, and which I hope will go down to under 5 million anyway, and it's got very good volume as well, then I think that this should, by rights, do really well out of your $500 or $300, whatever you invest in it. And if you lose it, then you lose it. Yeah, this could go to 0. It's got high risk. It's far down in the rankings. But this could also absolutely blow up to oblivion. Like, think about it, right? If Dogecoin is used by Twitter, then who knows who else will adopt it for their transaction. You know, if it proves successful, if Dogecoin is utilized, if it's utilized for micropayment services, utilized for, you know, blue ticks or verification or what have you on Twitter, then other platforms, seeing as though Twitter is one of the biggest social media platforms in the world, then other platforms may adopt it. Other businesses may actually adopt Dogecoin as a method of payment, and that will bring more value to Dogechain. Incrementally, it should go up, because there's only 2 coins that really do well when Dogecoin does well, and that is Shiba Inu and Dogechain. Dogechain is the newest. This is pre-pump. It's only a new coin. So by rights, this should have brilliant growth, as long as it can still be around during the next bull market, which it should be. It is lights out, all out.